I first met Andy Spacey about 2008. He came along to a grappling class that I was running at the time. Very impressed with his physicality and his grappling knowledge. Easily one of the strongest people that I'd had the pleasure to roll with at the time, considering I outweighed the man by 10-15 kilograms. He easily matched my strength. Intrigued by this, I started training with Andy, and he introduced me to the world of the kettlebell, the club, and a whole new approach to moving weights for fitness and body weight exercises. In this small, I'm going to call it a laboratory rather than a gym, because there was a lot of experimentation and research going on in this space. At the Renegade Revolution headquarters in Coventry, we worked almost every day together. He helped me get into the best shape of my life for an MMA fight. Managed to come in after a 12-week fight camp at weight, without dieting, without cutting calories, without dehydration. Came in fully rested, at full strength. Cardio was absolutely on point. Won the fight, early matches, early on in the match, and it was down to his approach. He taught me a lot about how we don't understand volume and rest in training the way we should. Looking at the traditional split workouts that bodybuilders use, etc. For the average person, I'm sure you'll get fit and you'll lose weight, and tone up, whatever that means. But for those of us that ask for a little bit more out of our training, fighting athletes, professional sports players, etc. There's a lot more resting on your preparation. There's a lot more to lose if it goes wrong. Andy's approach of specificity with movements for the particular art that you work with was second to none. He's probably the most well-read person that I know in terms of anatomy and physiology, exercise, even diet. He doesn't shy away from the hard graft when it comes to the books and the research, and he's actually an embodiment of his research himself. He lives what I can only describe as a classical warrior martial artist lifestyle. I've seen him basically living in his gym. I've trained with him first thing in the morning, gone back later on that day, trained with him again, numerous occasions, just to see small adjustments being made in our training. Very knowledgeable when it comes to the kettlebell and the club. Completely rewired my ideas around strength and conditioning, and I still use some of the things that he taught me right up to now. So if you're looking for someone who will get the best out of you, not just tell you what you want to hear, the fitness industry is full of people who will happily take your money, give you small goals to meet, pat you on the head when you make your targets, and then continue to take money from you. Andy's not that type of man. He will drag the absolute best out of you. In terms of his motivational skills, I've probably never been as motivated as when I did train with Andy on a daily basis. This is not to say that Andy only works with people who are athletes or have a specific sports goal. Some of the clients that I've shared mats with in Andy's lab, the Renegade Revolution headquarters in Coventry, have been ordinary people. But ordinary people can have big goals, and for some people, I can think of 3 or 4 people off the top of my head that I know through Andy that have had their life completely changed by some of the ideas that Andy's put across. Great confidence builder. He'll take you to places that you didn't think you'd be able to go, and you also pass the goals that he sets. Single-minded when it comes to his approach to fitness, and it rubs off. I've had the pleasure of training with Andy on a one-on-one basis, perfectly tailored training for your goals. I've seen how he's worked with athletes from other fighting sports, tailored the training completely to that person's needs. It was a sad day when I had to stop training with Andy and he left the country. And I would guarantee you success if you were to put yourself in Andy's capable hands. You won't find a better personal trainer as far as I'm concerned. He's unorthodox, he's intense, but the primary objective is to seek out the ways that you need to be motivated, apply them. It's to pull every last thing out of you in terms of your potential. He can drive you in a way I've not seen since. Many of the people that I've shared the mats with Andy can probably attest to the same thing. My own personal experience is directly related to my success in my chosen art, which is grappling, mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've seen other mixed martial artists, fighting arts, athletes that have trained with him, and they all say the same thing. He will take you to where your potential is. Again, not to say that ordinary people won't get something out of training with Andy. He has a knack of bringing out the best in people.
Hi, my name's Brad Gallagher. I trained with Andy for many years. I have competed in amateur level mixed martial arts tournaments, won a couple of those, competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, both in the gi and no gi as well. Gi blue belt level, and no gi was more kind of like intermediate level. In fact, had a bout with a chap that was in the UFC at one point in time. That was a bit of a standout moment for me. Unfortunately lost that one on points, but it was an experience. Anyway, Andy kind of set me on a pathway to achieving these things, and then beyond that, achieving more with everyday life, through my career, my businesses, and a few other areas of success. I think that it's down to the fact that I've had this time with Andy, that I've absorbed this kind of drive and focus that he has, which not many of the people that I've ever met actually have in them, So it all started one night we were watching the UFC, and I'm talking away as if I know the game in and out and all that sort of stuff, after having a couple of drinks, and Andy grabs me and he kind of puts me on the ground, and we're kind of going through some of the movements, a bit of wrestling, bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it was very quick for me to realise that I didn't have a clue what I was talking about, and that's basically my first real experience with Andy in terms of the fitness side of things, coaching and all that sort of stuff. It's a real standout lesson. It's one of those kind of things you see in films, maybe The Karate Kid or something like that. It wasn't just a case of just using his words or just passively making a suggestion. It was just, you need to realise, and I'm going to help you. And he did that very, very quickly, and that changed the course of my life. We spent quite a number of years training mainly with kettlebells, various weights, and then it got really creative after a time when more and more renegades came on board. I was one of the originals, and a lot of guys came in that they wanted the fitness side of things. They just wanted to get fitter, faster, thinner in a lot of cases, and then there were a few of us that were competing as well, and we had other areas of focus. But one thing that really stands out that I've trained with lots of coaches. Andy encouraged me to go train with lots of different coaches to pick up on different things, different disciplines, that sort of thing. But in terms of the psychological side of that, he was always the number one resource, probably alongside Trevor, who's my other standout coach that I've had in my life. And that to me, that what Andy brought to the table in that respect, it's kind of like lucky that I found it. Obviously I saw it that first night, but that wasn't a one-off. It carried on all the way through the time that we spent together, and as I say, it's given me this gift of drive and determination, ambition, all this sort of stuff that even though nowadays I'm quite injured through competition and a few other ailments, but since those days, I've moved into other areas of success, as I say, and a lot of it is it's thanks to having that time and this is my lifestyle. I have that drive and focus and dedication, and it's kind of undying. It's like this fire is always on inside, and it goes back to those days. So, one thing I'll say is Andy is a very hard man. You see these stories of great coaches and how they don't take any shit and they only care about success and you as an individual as well. It's kind of like it's almost like a relationship in a weird way, and that's what he is. I've met a lot of coaches that kind of they're just there. It's just a living, all that sort of stuff. But in Andy's case, this is his lifestyle. He wants to share with you. He wants to share your experiences. He wants you to succeed as an individual, and I think that is very rare. And the fact that he can do it with such high levels of expertise, really focus on the areas to improve, work around injuries, all that sort of stuff. I think that those two things combined make him a very, very powerful individual. So basically, if you want success, then he's the kind of guy that can help you achieve these things, and not only just be there for the ride, but be rooting for you every step of the way, giving you everything you need, not just in terms of the physical side, as I say, it's also the psychological side as well. So he's kind of got all bases covered. Maybe one day they'll make a film out of Andy as well. So if they do, then I'd like to play myself, as it would be nice to get the job. Anyway, that's my recommendation for Andy as not only as a trainer, a coach, but just in terms of having him in your life in some way, shape or form. It's definitely worth doing, that's for sure. All right, thank you.
Hey everybody. I wanted to give a quick video testimonial on Andy Spacey from the Renegade Revolution. So a little bit of background. The first time I met Andy was actually through work. I owned a business making expedition equipment, and Andy was, if I remember rightly, looking to cycle from the UK all the way down to Portugal and looking for a sleeping system that was going to work for him. And at the time I was making custom built hammocks and tarps and things, and we had a really good dialogue, and I was able to help him out and get him set up with a piece of equipment so that he could go on with his travels. And seeing where that's taken him now to where he is now is it was pretty cool to be a part of that. But Andy's was a lot more than just a customer. He was kind of an outspoken guy. He had lots of cool ideas and interested in topics to discuss. So our conversations were never really about selling a product or buying a product. It was a lot about physical and mental well-being, being a human. And there was a few things that really hit home, but it took a little time, maybe 2 or 3 years from the first time I'd interacted with Andy, until I kind of reached out. And I'd gone through a bit of a weird stage in life. I'm an ex-military guy. Leaving the military, I think I just got a bit lazy. I've gone through that period of life where you start to smash on the pounds, you cut down on the exercise you're doing, you start to lose your focus a little bit. You just start to fall into the monotony of modern life, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I was going through a weird transition phase. It was a breakup of a marriage, and I was about to emigrate to Norway, where I live now. So at the time, I was 125 kilos, 124 kilos. I'm 6'1", so 186-ish centimeters. So I was a pretty big guy. I'd always been relatively big, but I was big with muscle for the work I did. I averaged around about 100, 105 kilos. But I was fit at that weight, but I certainly wasn't fit at 125. The mental stamina hadn't gone, but the physical stamina and what was looking back at me in the mirror wasn't quite as intimidating as it used to be. In fact, it was intimidating, just for all the wrong reasons. So I had some really good interactions. This was the very start of the new rebirth, I guess, of the Renegade Revolution. Andy started up his Facebook group and his pages. We talked a lot about filming. I'd worked a little bit in the film industry. And he just unlocked those small keys again in life. And I think the key with Andy is that what he's doing isn't anything wild and crazy. You know, I said that when I first started this discussion, but it's the roots of humanity. It's where we came from. That discussion of embracing hunger, embracing the pain, and living that life as if it's a survival, and it is a game of survival. And I think if anything, the last 14, 15 months has taught us is that we're all pretty vulnerable. Doesn't matter whether you're a big director of a company or you were on, social benefit payouts. Everybody's been hit so hard, regardless of where your social setting is on a ladder, because you're all just human beings. And having the skills to deal with that, having the mental aptitude and the physical ability to deal with those problems in life, they don't just come from sitting around. They come from training your mind and training your body, training yourself to accept hunger, training yourself to accept pain, training yourself to accept that you have to make time for your own mental and physical well-being. And as I sit here today, maybe 2 years after this journey started, 3 years after this journey started, I'm 87 kilos. I went from a 38-inch waist to a 29. I eat healthy. I still can have a small relapse. I don't mind having a beer at a night time. But my mindset to what's important has changed. And I had all of these skills. I had all of these survival skills and combat skills. I've been interested in martial arts for most of my life. Muay Thai has been a kind of a red thread that's run through my life. I haven't got Muay Thai back. We haven't got a Muay Thai gym here. I live right up in a small town called Kirkenes on the Russian border in Norway. But I still train. I train at least 4 or 5 times a week, whether that's running small trips out in town, boot camps, military style boot camps, or I'm out running in the mountains or with a rucksack on my back, or training with mates in a boxing gym we've made in a basement. My mindset, my outlook has changed, and because of that, I feel fresh, I feel sharp, and that was just unlocking those keys, those fundamentals again for me. And I know the work Andy's done with so many other people is exactly the same. It's unlocking those small keys. There's nothing major. There's no big development. There's no key secret he's going to deliver to you. It's almost like that slap around the head so that you just get it. So thanks ever so much, Andy, and I will always be a renegade, and long live the Russian.
Well, just had a good training session this evening, all thanks to Andy Spacey's encouragement over the years. So many of these with Andy. Over 15 years I've known Andy. All he does for everybody is show encouragement, determination, and make sure everybody trains to the highest levels. Hope that anybody using Andy's facilities over in Portugal really appreciates the effort and time that he puts into training and putting courses together. He's helped me over the years. I've been training with Andy for, since I was 45. I'm now 61, and he's got me in the shape I'm in now. And I've got a lot to thank Andy for, and my brother and friends of mine that trained with Andy. He's one of the best trainers I've ever trained with, and I've done training since I was a kid, constantly. But with Andy, you get what you get. You have to put the effort in. He expects the best, and he doesn't like slackers. So if you're going to work with Andy, work hard, but you'll get the benefits of it, and you'll be able to stand proud in anything you do. Good luck, Andy, with everything you're doing in Portugal. Hope things work out for you. And as soon as I can get over to your training camp, I'll be over there. Good luck, mate. Hope everything goes well. If you need anything from me, give me a call. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.
I trained with Andy in Coventry a number of years back. Met him at the gym, and he explained what sort of stuff he was doing, and sort of said, do you want to mix up your training, because if you're just coming to the gym and not getting much out of it, you need to do something different. So started training with him, and it was quite an eye-opener to start with, to be honest, but it was really good. Andy has a way of reading people and understanding a little bit about them, or how they train, or maybe how their brain's working, that he can motivate you to do stuff that other people haven't done in the past, you know, from a training point of view. He's strong, he's independent, he is continually learning, and I can see that now from what he's doing, you know, in his workspace, and what he did before, the course he did. He, you know, did his PT training course, would then bring that into the sessions we're doing. Every session would be different. He would have done some research. He would have learned what people are doing. No session was the same, which was always really good, because you were always doing something different. You could then take that away and do it at home, and it wasn't just about training in the same place, doing the same thing. You know, you could take that away and do it on your own. You could take that down the park and do it, and all that stuff. There was a lot around the technique and understanding how you were doing it and why you were doing it. And Andy loved doing his course to understand how it all worked and how to make it work better, how to be a better trainer, I guess. Yeah, I always admired the fact that he's continually learning, and applying that to himself personally, and also obviously his training, his work, his life in general. And I just guess that understanding of how fitness and stuff like that is not just about the fitness, it's about how that applies to the rest of your life, and just even some of those things you learn and the way you train or the way you behave is not just a matter of being in the gym or whatever, that it's all interconnected and it all fits together.
So training with Andy, if I was going to put it into one word, brutal is probably the best word I could come up with, if I'm honest. I remember his phrase from when we used to train, we're going to make it hard and then we're going to make it harder. And for the years that I trained with him, that was always true. You know, if you went to Andy's session, you're always going to get the best. I remember when he first started bringing in the TRX stuff, it wasn't really readily available. So he made his own, and we started doing all the TRX kind of bodyweight stuff way before kind of anybody was even thinking about it, if I'm honest. The mentality he gives you is like no other. Kind of, he gets you to a point, and your mentality's just kind of goes, the mental aspect is kind of there. He makes you kind of drive into it. That's why now I'm able to kind of train on my own and get the motivation to do that, as where before, if I train with other people, I don't think I'd kind of have the same mentality. He's always kind of strive to make you push yourself, and if you've got belief in yourself, he's always there to kind of push you to the next level as well. If you've got the time to put into it, he's got more time to put into you, and he'll kind of put everything he has into kind of getting you to where your goals are. And as I said, he's always got another level for you, and yeah, it's going to be brutal. All right.
I've known Andy for close to 20 years now, when we began training in martial arts together. It's from here that I got to know Andy as a friend, and later as a fitness professional. Andy's always been incredibly passionate and focused about his physical and mental development. He carries this drive over into helping others achieve their goals, whatever they may be. This passion to keep himself in the best physical and mental condition is evident as soon as you meet him. However, having had the opportunity to train with him and learn from him, I can safely say that I have never met anyone else who will put as much effort into helping someone achieve their goal. Over the years, Andy's given me the advice and tools needed to balance pretty much every aspect of my life, from nutrition and fitness information through to guidance on professional and personal issues that have proved invaluable. There are things Andy has taught me that I still use now, and I guarantee that if you add him to your team, his positive attitude and work rate will make it one of the best decisions you could ever make.
Hi, I'm happy to provide Andy Spacey a testimonial as a personal trainer. I've known Andy for a number of years, and I first trained with Andy when I was 150 kilos. With Andy's help, I actually lost 20 kilos. I remember with Andy, it's not just about the exercise, but also all about a lifestyle change. I remember Andy when we first started coming around to the house and literally emptying my cupboards of all the bad things. He threw loads and loads of food away. But with Andy's help, I've managed to keep the weight off and still living a healthy lifestyle. He's inspired me, and I still exercise regularly. But it's not like having him here now that he's over in Portugal. I'll try my best. But if any of you are thinking of using any of Andy's talents, do so. I highly recommend him. Okay then, thanks then, bye.
I've known Andy for over 10 years, trained with him as my personal trainer for over 5 years while he was here in the UK. He took me from a very basic level. I was struggling to run a mile or two at the time, and after training with him for a few years, I completed half marathons in an hour and 45 minutes, did some triathlons, and then ended up running a full marathon in under 4 hours, all with the mentality Andy installed in me through his training, his hard work, his training methods, all the study he puts in, the time, all it paid off. It definitely did for me. The lessons I learned from him I still use today. Some examples of the training things he's pushed me to achieve that I never thought I could. Going from 20, 30 bodyweight squats, maybe up to 100, and then on, after a few months building up, to 1,000 squats, sit-ups, 30 to 50 at the time, up to doing 15 minutes straight, no stopping, with a 10 kilo medicine ball. Stuff, if you'd told me at the start training with him I would achieve, I would have said no chance. He lives the life, means what he says, and backs it up.
I first met Andy Spacey in my early 20s. He was my first experience of what training can do physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually. Ever since that day, he's been a source of support, guidance and in-depth knowledge about anything and everything that will help you along your journey, whatever that is, whether it's exercise, nutrition, anything that will help your specific problems that you're experiencing, whatever they could be. He can tailor a plan to help you reach your goals. I have called on Andy over many times over the years. Consistent training I've learnt through Andy has helped through kettlebells, bits of martial arts, which is, I've not terribly far along the line with, but he's taught me certain techniques that, I didn't know how to punch, I didn't know how to kick, and just learning those things made me such a more confident person. And when I saw the changes in my body, when I first started training, I went from being, really meek and insecure to just thinking, wow, I can achieve things, and that stayed with me my whole life. I met him in my early 20s. I'm 34 now, and I've passed that knowledge and inspiration on to my daughter, who's now 16, and now she's training and she wants to compete. But knowledge is nothing without application, and that's what Andy has really instilled into me. Sometimes it can be tough love, but sometimes tough love is what you need. And Andy, I just want to thank you for everything. You've just been amazing, and you always will be. That's Andy Spacey, and I'm Bella. And that's me. All right, thank you.
Hey, my name is Thierry Sanchez. I'm a part owner and in charge of education at Herrick Sport. Now, I'd like to talk to you briefly about Andrew Spacey, as he's known. I've met him in 2008 in the UK for a kettlebell course, and we've kept in touch all these years. Now, he's been very enthusiastic about our product, the Palavendel, and club swinging in general. Since he's been swinging himself for a long time, he's got his own spin on how to bring this to clients and general public or elite athletes. So he's got a lot of value, a lot of hands-on experience on the front lines, and I'd like you to consider him to be an addition for your fitness center.